Querete opantes, and we have, Amy Anepsios Leonides. So you already know that. I'm cousin Leonid, so I'm here for another episode on going through a biblical verse and going through how to translate it. Okay, and what we're doing today is we're going through the second part. And this is the first time that I've actually gone through the second part of a verse. So I promised that I actually would, and for once I actually followed through on my promise. Okay, that'd be great. So we'll just remind ourselves of what we've done so far. Okay, so let's keep on going. Now, the text that we have there is very, very slightly different from the text that I provided in the last video about this verse. And the word that we're looking at is that fourth word there, dikaiosunen. Okay, I think we had a different noun there to describe it. I did mention that there were alternate editions which actually had this word instead. And that word literally means justice, but I suppose it means the kind of goodwill offering. Okay, an offering to God. Now, as we know, God doesn't actually need any cash for anything. Okay, so therefore, if you provide any donation for God at the temple, then it's provided for either the continuance of what's going on at the temple or for charity. Okay, so that's what we got here. So provide your charitable offering. Okay, not so as to act before men, or sorry, people. As we said, the anthropon doesn't necessarily mean uh, people of a male persuasion, it means people in general. Okay, and then we had the pros, in order to be seen. Okay, and then we had a nice aorist passive. We've just been talking about aorist, so there we've got an aorist passive. We talked about that previously. By them, the autois. So what we've got in Greek is that very often we expect to see a preposition before the dative, but we expect to see that anyway. So let's have a look at the next bit. So we got the edemege. Okay, so that literally means if not. Now, the edition that we've got here of the Greek is the edition from Nestle in 1904. You can very easily have access to the biblical text. I mean, if you have a Greek New Testament, you already have it, but there are various collections of the Greek that are more or less useful. More or less useful. I'm not going to actually opine whether one is more or less useful. Let's just say that the 1904 text of Nestle is the one that is very commonly used these days. It's a synthesis of earlier editions, so an Alexandrine edition and a Byzantine edition, but let's keep on going from that. So we got edemege. So let's read that. That goes on from the I suppose we call it a colon after the autois. Okay, so edemege misthon uch echete para to patri humon to entois uranois. So let's go from there. So we got the edemege. So we know that the e means if, and the me, let's forget the ge for now. The mem is some kind of negative, and we see that negative that's used in either imperatives, negative imperatives. We could see it in indirect statement going with an infinitive. We've had it above here. Okay, and then we've got edeme, so if not. Now what's he talking about here? So the author. So the reason I say that he is, we're going to assume that Matthew was a man, even though we don't know that the author of the gospel was called Matthew. Okay, there's no reason why it could be a woman. So if he or she, what is he or she doing here? So we got if not. what have we got? So what we've got is provide your goodwill offering. Okay, not so as to act in front of people to be seen by them. If you don't do it this way, the the proviso is that provide your charitable offering, but don't do it in a way that's kind of showy um, and tries to catch people's attention. If you don't do it, meaning that if you do try and catch people's attention, okay, mithon literally means pay, but we're going to have it here as, and you'll find it in most biblical dictionaries as meaning reward. So uk echete. So that looks like it's going to be second person plural. So you do not have a reward or a pay. Okay, para to patri humon. Okay, now prepositions are reasonably difficult in Greek, and we might actually talk about some prepositions a little later. Now, one of the complicated things is that prepositions can take one of three cases, two most of the time, but a third possibly, and some prepositions take each of those three cases and they have a different meaning with each case, so we have to be a little bit careful with these prepositions. So going to translate the para not as being direction towards. We would expect to see para plus an accusative as being direction towards, but we've here got para plus the dative to patri. We can see it's dative even if we don't know that patri is dative. We can see it from the tor. Okay, so we can see that's the dative pronoun. We can see that from a previous video. If you don't remember that, then it might be worth actually going back to those previous videos and checking. So we've got you do not have reward or pay para from patri humon, from your father. Okay, so we have humon in the first line up there. So next to dikaio sunen or the me. Okay, so you do not have pay or reward from your father. Okay, and then we got the repetition of the tor. Now the effect of the repetition of the tor is kind of like a relative pronoun. Not exactly the same. So we've got from your father, the one who is an tois uranois, literally in the heavens. But we would put that as being singular, in heaven, your father in heaven. It's a kind of stock phrase that we see in translations of the Bible in English that says your father in heaven. So it's kind of like typical. We know exactly who's being talked about here. So it's talking about God. Now, one of the stark messages of Jesus is not just that God is his father, but that God is everyone's father. Okay, so he's talking you plural. So the people who are listening, the people who are reading. All right, so that once more. So we got de mega, if not. So what was above? We have prosciutto as being positive. So we will see many translations which say things like take care not to. Okay, so we might see a translation which says if you don't, meaning if you don't take care. Okay, that's not exactly what the Greek is in fact saying, but idiomatically it's the kind of idiom. I don't think there is any real way that we could say the verse is saying something else. So if not, if you don't have. Okay, now we can take that as being, look, what's going on? So the translation often will be given in a biblical translation, say the NIV or something like that, as you won't, meaning it's implied that it's future. But I think the point is, it's not an incorrect translation, there's nothing wrong with that, but I think the point is you do not do it. So if this happens, you don't this is something that does not result now at any point when this precondition occurs. Okay, so you do not have a reward mithon or pay, okay, from your Father who is in heaven. Okay, all right, we'll hold it there, and any questions, let me know. If you like the video, then just drop me a line. Video, even though there's not a great deal to actually see. Okay, and I will see you next time. Okay, thank you. Oida humin harin. Thank you. Kai rete.